How many of you out there are looking for staff? It is probably the number one challenge that traditional salons are having in our industry today. One of the main ways that you can differentiate yourself from other salons to attract staff is working on your salon culture. How? Today's episode, we're delving into exactly that. Welcome to the Salon Scoop, a podcast by Salon S.O.S. I'm your host, Scott Moon, the founder of Salon S.O.S., and I'm obsessed with helping salon professionals live their best life. In this show, we shop talk all things salon to bring you real-life stories, debates, entertainment, and inspiration to help you find happiness and success in this beautiful industry. If you work in the salon industry in any capacity, this podcast is open to you. So set down your scissors or rinse out that toner and let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Salon Scoop. Today, we are going to get the scoop on how to create a salon culture that people just cannot wait to join. Salons and spas out there, you're competing for more than just clients, right? You're competing for people. It is limited, and everybody out there reaches out to us saying, you know what, we need more staff, we need more staff. In many cases, it's more important than new clients, but it's a challenge because less and less people are interested in working in that traditional salon culture. And if you haven't listened, we actually launched an episode recently talking about a hybrid salon model that really allows you to respond to the varying needs and desires that service providers out there have so that you don't necessarily have to be competing with salon suites. You can offer some of those experiences within your own salon. So go check out that episode if you haven't heard it. But today we want to talk about how you can help your staff feel valued, want to work with you because they feel valued, because they feel supported, and because they feel inspired. And that's really what salon culture is all about. With me to dissect this episode and some real life examples of how this is being implemented at the salon level is the one and only Sarah Perrin, owner of Chalk Salon. Sarah, how are you doing today?
Oh, can't complain too much. What about you, Scott?
Well, I mean, we always can complain, but we choose not to, right? That's, I think, the key to living a positive life in the complicated world that we live in.
Yeah, agreed. I'm usually like, can't complain, but I still probably will. So, but I'll keep it light today. So,
Love it, love it. Well, you've got a great example of salon culture in your salon, and for those out there, it's more than just the vibe of your space. When you say like, what is culture? Some people say, oh, I don't know. It's just a feeling. It's just a vibe. Really, I would say salon culture is about, shared values, shared behaviors. It's kind of the way we do things here is a great definition of what salon culture means. And that will vary and it'll differ salon by salon. And you have the ability as the salon owner to cultivate that culture that you want, right? But Sarah, I want to really hear from you as a salon owner in terms of what you feel makes a good salon culture, a good environment for people to want to be part of.
yeah, for sure. So, salon culture is absolutely something that we have spent a lot of time over the last couple of years working on, and kind of putting it at the forefront. Because, like you said, if you don't have a good salon team and a salon culture, then what difference does it make if you have clients coming in and not, right? So kind of like you said, one of the biggest things is shared values. This doesn't mean that every single person has to think about everything the same or have the exact same ideas about things, but you do have to have shared values and what you want out of your career and what you want out of your work environment. So that is definitely number one, because if person A is expecting one thing and person B is doing another thing, you're definitely going to clash, and that's going to affect culture. So shared values is a big thing. Another thing is, again, respect and collaboration. As I said, this doesn't mean that we all have to think the exact same, but we have to be able to respect the people that we work with. clear communication is huge for being able to make sure that, again, that respect, and again, communication is kind of the make or break of any relationship, right? So that's a really big thing as well. And then again, just other things like opportunities for growth within your career, and a positive welcoming environment. So there's a ton of different ways that you can cultivate this type of culture within your salon, but it definitely kind of sets the bar for even how you hire people in the future. Because if you can tell that there's certain personalities that aren't going to mesh well with your set, ideals and values and everything like that, then you're going to have issues within that culture, which then can, turn into people leaving or internal fights and all of these different things. So that's kind of what the culture is. Like you said, it's not just the vibe, but it's everything about, again, your morals, your values, your beliefs, everything like that, that kind of translates into, again, just like a positive work environment for everybody.
Yeah, the tricky part sometimes is figuring out, okay, how do I actually establish this? How do I create a culture? Because it's not something that's super tangible, let's say. So we're going to try to break it down as much as possible. And first, I want to talk about, how to establish what's important for you as a salon owner and the team and the environment that you want to have. Because culture starts with clarity. And as the salon owner or leader, you probably have a vision of what you want that to look like, but you need to bring it to reality. And it's important, I would say almost critical, that you find a way to include your team in shaping it, right? If you already have people working with you and you now want to work on the culture, you can't just walk in one day and say, okay, this is the way things are going to be. Now, it's different if you're starting a place from scratch and you're bringing people on. You can obviously treat that differently and have your own vision in advance and be very clear about it. However, incorporating and including the team members to develop it can go a long way to making sure that it actually sticks, right, with the people you have. So how do you define your culture together? Well, certainly, having a team workshop or team meeting just around this topic can be a great starting point, right? Ask everybody to share, what they value most in the workplace and how they want, to feel. It doesn't mean that you are letting them build it for you. You're just getting feedback about what's important to people and using that to shape within the vision that you kind of have in your head. It helps you identify non-negotiables, right? And for yourself, it's a way to share what are some of the non-negotiables for you as a salon owner or salon leader. Values and behaviors that are essential and values and behaviors that are absolutely not acceptable in your environment. And then finally, you're going to want to create a shared mission statement. I'm sure you've all heard of what a mission statement is. We'll delve into that in a second. But you don't want to, again, dictate, all right, everybody, here's the statement that we all must live by. It's so much more impactful if everybody has contributed to it. Now they have a vested interest in living up to it. So Sarah, maybe you can share with us some tangible ways of how you build and maintain that salon culture in the actual salon environment that you are in. And I know you have something linked to sort of mission statement. I think you call it a code of honor. Maybe you can kind of guide us through a little bit how to build and maintain that salon culture properly.
For sure. So, like you said, it has to be a collaborative effort, right? Especially at our salon, that's something we talk about all the time. Is we're not running a dictatorship. Like, we want to get the opinions and everything like that from our team, because again, when it comes down to culture, it is about the team, right? It's not just us saying this is how you behave and this is how it's going to work. Obviously, you can have those guidelines. So, like you said, the first step is definitely going to be to set up a meeting. And just for like some tangible tips, like what we usually do is we'll have a list of questions, and then we hand out, sticky notes and everything like that to everybody. And we'll say, what is important to you in a workspace? So again, then they have 2 minutes, they write that down. And then, like you said, what are the non-negotiables? Write them down. All of these different things. And then you kind of share as a group. And especially if you already have a team of like-minded people, a lot of those answers are probably going to be relatively similar, right? So then same thing with like it comes when you're coming to a mission statement, you kind of take from what's important and what is important to not have, and then that's how you can kind of build your mission statement, right? So once you have those ideas, something that we did was we created a code of honor. So this is, if you think of this as kind of your salon's internal agreement, right, between everybody, it might include things like we support each other's success, or we give and receive feedback respectfully, or we take pride in our space and our work, making sure that the space is clean and tidy and that clients are being treated a certain way, whatever it might be. So for us, how we did this is we all sat down and we came up with, I think it's about 7 different things. And we have what the code of honor rule is. Like, I will abide by, the dress code, which is this and this and this, because I think it's important that we all look like a team. We don't have a very strict dress code. But then if that is not abided by, then here is the consequence. Because that's the thing, for every action, there has to be a reaction. And you can't just say, oh, I will speak to all of my coworkers respectfully and then not have some type of again, I hate to say consequence, but some type of reaction to that if it's not being done well, right? But at the end of the day, one of our biggest, so again, whether this is how you speak to each other, how you show up, how you keep your space clean, our number one thing is I will call and be called with grace. So that means that if Scott, you're doing something that I'm not stoked about, I will come to you in a very respectful way and say, you know what, I didn't really appreciate how you spoke to me in this situation. As our code of honor says, we always say that we're going to communicate effectively and respectfully. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. And how you would respond is, thank you so much for telling me this. It's never my intention to come off that way, but I'm glad that you brought it to my attention. So
And
instead of
now,
like
and
this,
I'm
yeah,
gonna come back because you said there has to be,
yeah.
reactions or consequences. So that's how it is on paper. If you kind of be, and you're all like wild and emotional, and say, Scott, like, you know what? I can't believe you did that. Like, that's terrible. Like, you screwed up my day. Da 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 da. There's now a way that either I or salon owners are able to respond to that, to say, that's not how we do things here, right? According to the code of honor. So how does that get treated?
So if it's like an internal thing, like between like let's say 2 coworkers, we definitely try and keep a very open line of communication. We have monthly check-ins with all the girls and everything like that, so that if they do have an issue like that and they feel as if they can't resolve it themselves, then we can become involved. Either management or owners or whatever it might be. So the calling and being called with grace is definitely probably the most difficult one to keep your eye on. But like the rest of them, one of them is, again, keeping the salon space clean and making sure that you do your jobs before you leave. And if you don't and you get called out on it, then the consequence is you have to clean the baseboards for a month. You know what I mean? So it's easier for things like that where there is like an actual thing to be able to measure. Whereas, again, calling and being called with grace is definitely something that's a little bit harder to measure. So all of our team knows that if somebody reacts in a way that they don't think follows the code of honor, then they can come to us in management and kind of ask. The best case scenario would be that they ask for how to continue with this, so they can resolve it on their own. But if it is to a point where it's not, then that's when we can get involved. And it is very much just a look, you were called out in a very respectful, graceful way, and you did not respond the same. And that is one of our number one things on our code of honor, right? Or vice versa. If someone comes in hot, that wasn't super graceful, I'm going to try and respond with grace, but next time I'd appreciate it if you could come to me in this way instead of coming in so hot, right? So communication is a really huge thing that we try to teach and stick with. So yeah, it definitely is a learning curve and something that you have to kind of iron out the kinks as you go along.
Yeah, for sure. So, what are some other ways, tangible ways, that you build and maintain salon culture in the salon?
again, definitely scheduling those regular check-ins, like I was just saying, to make sure that your team has your support as the owner. And if they are running into issues that they can't resolve on their own, then you can come with suggestions and everything like that. So again, like I say, we do monthly one-on-one meetings with all of our teams. So that's a really good way to stay on top of it. So things aren't going, 6 months being swept under the rug. And at every single staff meeting, we always at the end of it say, does anybody have any grievances or anything that they need to air within the team? And again, because we've created such a strong culture, I really do find that even like the most meek and mild, quiet team members still feel comfortable enough to voice their concerns. And they're not just kind of like, well, it's easier just to not say anything because nothing's going to get done about it. So because we've, cultivated that super open line of communication within the team, everybody does feel comfortable speaking up. Another big thing is by celebrating achievements. So that's something we do, again, every single team meeting. We give shout outs to people who have had best ever. So if they had a best ever service month or a best ever retail month, or they got their journeyman or they leveled up, we do a big celebration. We get a cake, we have flowers, we shout everybody out, everybody claps. So again, it just really creates this environment and this culture where people are excited and know that they're going to be recognized for the good that they're doing and not just getting in trouble if they're not doing well. So that is such an important thing for our culture, like in particular, is that we are recognizing all of the little wins and not just calling out the negatives. So that is a really big one. Again, investing in growth is another thing that I feel like is really important for our culture, because we've all established that continuing education and refining our craft and everything like that is definitely top of mind for what everybody wants to be doing. So again, investing in not only professional development, like actual, skills classes, but also investing in personal development. So we do that pretty regularly as well. And one last thing is we definitely encourage team bonding outside of work. So we schedule things like that. We have team days, everything. But I've noticed the culture that we've created lately with our team, they're all really good friends. And this isn't to say that you have to be best friends with everybody you work with. I don't think that that's a possibility. You don't even have to like everybody you work with, but there has to be that mutual respect. And that is, again, a conversation we've had a lot with our team, but it is nice to see that a lot of these, like the girls on our team, have created these relationships. And, 3 of them were going for their journeyman at the same time. So they were setting up times to go and study all together. And one of our girls doesn't have her license, so everybody steps up and they'll pick her up for, meetings or team days or things like that. So again, it's kind of this, almost like a totem pole of, or like, again, like just this chain reaction of you create this great culture where, again, communication is at the forefront, shared values, and then everything else kind of trickles down. So, and you just kind of have to try and maintain it as much as you can.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing some of those tips. It's great to, I think, relate to any great team out there. So if you think of, whether you're into sports or not, but you think of sports teams, like the great sports teams, they always say, why did they win the championship? They all come back and say, like we just had the tightest knit group of people. Everybody supported each other. We had our back. Like ultimately, it's because they had such a strong culture. Yes, you have, talented, players, but you need to have good, coaching in there, and you need to have a great culture for any team to be successful. So I think that you can find a lot of parallels in great sports teams out there and learn a lot from some of those best practices, because clearly there are great impacts and effects, positive ripple effects on your business, right, as a salon, that are going to happen as a result of that. So Sarah, what are some of the, I guess, positive impacts that you could say you have in your business? Why is working on salon culture actually worth the time and energy and investment?
One of the biggest things that we've noticed is your staff retention goes up exponentially. If your team members like coming to work and they feel respected and appreciated and recognized, not only from management and owners but also from their team members, they end up loving where they're at, right? And that's a big thing that we've had a lot of our, like, we've had some girls that have been with us from the get-go, and that's not to say that we haven't had some turnover, but again, people that really do align with our salon's culture that we've created, they stay long term because they like coming to work, which is something that I don't feel a lot of people can say. Some people love what they do, but they don't necessarily love, showing up and, doing the team things and the staff meetings and everything like that. So retention is definitely number one. Client experience also improves exponentially too, because that's something that we're really big on. Like, our mission statement at our salon is that all are important, respected, and welcome here. So that's from clients to stylists to anybody walking through the doors. So when a client walks in, regardless of if it's my client, I know their name. I say, hey, how's it going? I might not know all of the ins and outs because I'm not sitting with them for, however many hours every few months. But we all really do make an effort to make every single person that walks through the door, whether they're our client or not, comfortable and feel super welcome. So I definitely think that the client experience improves. Your reputation grows. Again, we've had girls coming in. I shouldn't just say girls. We've had people from hair school coming in saying just like, I love seeing how you guys do things, not only like day-to-day basis at the salon, but I love seeing like how much you invest in education and the things that you do as a team outside of work and the volunteer opportunities and XYZ. So when new people are coming into your salon, you've already kind of built this reputation of having just like an awesome culture that people are stoked and want to be a part of, instead of like, ooh, I've heard they're cliquey or they don't do XYZ, right? So definitely helps with your reputation, not only with other stylists, but also with potential clients. And then again, marketing gets easier as well. So when your team, again, is stoked about being a part of your team, they want to market for you as well. So we have so many a lot of the times, because I manage our social media, I don't even have to actually create any social media because you're getting great client reviews. You're getting really great content coming from your team because they're posting about things not just behind the chair, but again, the events that they got to go to, the education they're taking, the little wins and achievements that they've had. So again, it's just kind of win-win-win across the board. And yeah, it does take a little bit of time, and it can definitely be financially, an investment as well too, when we're talking about education and these team days. But in the 10 plus years that we've been in salon ownership, like our culture has never been better. So we've definitely recognized the, again, return of investment on spending this time and this energy on cultivating a culture that we are excited to be a part of as well.
For sure. And I want to talk a little bit more about promoting it externally, that marketing component that you just talked about, because the reality is when you have a great culture, it's like this energy that people want to be part of. And it becomes easier, right, to feel that energy. But you certainly want to make sure that that energy gets out there, because when you have a great culture and you're promoting it, it's not just attracting new staff, it's also attracting new clients, right? As Sarah mentioned, the client experience becomes higher. Everybody just feels this great positive energy by being a part of it. And people want to become part of it, whether they are a client or whether they are a staff member themselves. So how do we go out and showcase that, right, to the outside world? Well, first of all, Sarah just alluded to social media. I think having some of those sort of behind the scenes social posts really goes a long way. We know that they get a lot of engagement and views on social media because it's not, promotional. Followers like to see kind of what goes on behind the scenes. And this is a great way for them to see what you're really like. And that energy, that culture shines through very easily, because usually people are laughing together, doing things together, learning in classes, whether it be education, celebrating, all the wins that Sarah mentioned. Those are positive things. They attract, right? Positive energy attracts positive energy. So highlight those as much as possible on your social posts. Think about doing team spotlights on your website, right? Everyone focuses on Google reviews and having client reviews. We always encourage the salons that we manage websites for to also have employee reviews, right? Talking about how great it is to work there, because every salon's website should have a careers or, job page, opportunity, join our team. That's a great place for you to highlight your culture and encourage people to work there. Why not have some staff testimonials, right, that spotlight why it's such a great environment and a great place to work. When you're doing your job postings, clearly you want that energy to come through, right? Highlight some of those culture aspects, some of those values, make that clear in your job posting so that you're attracting from the get-go like-minded people. Again, that positivity attracts positivity. So if you put it out there and you showcase it, your odds are better that the people who apply to you are more likely to actually be the right fit and work out with you, which is going to save you time in your recruiting process and be much more likely to have a stronger retention of those individuals. So these are just a couple of areas where you can kind of really promote that culture externally to attract, more of the right energy to you from both clients and staff alike. In these trying times in our industry, it's tough, but where clients and professionals have endless options, right? We know that there's so many options for both the clients to go to and for professionals where to work. Your salon's culture is your competitive edge. You need to work on it. A strong culture keeps your team loyal, keeps your clients happy, and keeps your brand thriving. Remember, culture is not something that you have. It's something that you actively create, protect, and share. It's an action. Start building yours today and watch the difference that it can make in every corner of your business. We encourage you to work through it. Reach out to us if you have any questions or ideas of things that have been successful for you. We love to hear from you and share those back with our community. We look forward to hearing your culture success stories today. Thank you so much for listening to the Salon Scoop podcast. This show is produced by Salon S.O.S, a digital marketing agency by industry professionals for industry professionals. If you want simple and affordable solutions for any of your salon marketing needs, such as websites, client loyalty, Google search rankings, social media, or more, come visit us at salonsos.ca or on Instagram at salon.s.o.s. If you want to hear more episodes like this and help us continue to bring the industry great content, it would mean so much to us if you would support us in one of the following ways. Either share this episode with one other industry professional, and rate the show on Spotify or write us a quick review on Apple Music. We want to hear your feedback. If you have follow-up questions or ideas for future episodes, please reach out. DM us on Instagram at salonus.s.o.s or hit us up on our website again at salonsos.ca. Again, thanks so much for listening. Now go get your hustle on, keep smiling, and we'll catch you on our next episode.